Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the regular council meeting of Monday, October 6th to order at 5 p.m. And we have the agenda in front of us. Are there any additions or deletions?
I do have a couple additions, Your Worship, please. Under part
Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the regular council meeting of Monday, October 6th to order at 5 p.m. And we have the agenda in front of us. Are there any additions or deletions?
I do have a couple additions, Your Worship. Under under current business, I'd like to add number 9, Riverbank Maintenance Request Update. And under section 13, closed session, I would like to add an item, Sagatawa Cold Shelter Funding, under Access to Information Act, section 19, disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party, and section 26, disclosure harmful to intergovernmental relations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would someone care to move the amended agenda? Mr. Good?
So moved.
Thank you. Note for everybody, we've got Mr. Carr who's virtual today, so all those in favor? Great, it is carried. Next up, we have the minutes of the September 22nd regular council meeting. Are there any edits that somebody has noticed on those? Perhaps someone would move us along then?
I'll move the council adopt the minutes of the September 22nd, 2025 regular council meeting as presented.
Thank you. All those in favor? Great, it is carried. We do not have any public hearings, nor do we have delegation presentations, nor do we have bylaw readings tonight, nor do we have unfinished business. So section 8, current business, grants to organizations, the 2025 third and final intake. Ms. Bell's gonna brief us on this one.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before council this evening is the report related to your third intake and final intake for 2025 related to the Council Grants to Organizations program. There were 4 applicants for this particular intake period: the Peace River Art Club, Miserable Miles, Northern Lights Speed Skating Club, and the Town of Peace River Library. In relationship to a question asked at a previous meeting, the policy specifically allows council to provide funding to events that occur in the past. However, there were some stipulations, and I've provided you with the excerpt from the policy for your reference. There are a number of items related to 11.7 is specifically the component of the policy that references. You have the ability, as per your update in the policy, if you would like to provide funding to past events. We just had put some stipulation within your policy that it would not be from previous calendar years or funding deficits of that event, or if the budget was already fully expended. So, and neither of these situations apply in this particular case. So you have the ability to fund that particular event as it's happened in the past. Just a reminder in terms of where your budget sits to date, the 2025 grants to organization budget has been expended to the amount of $44,280, and you had a total budget of $55,000 or $50,000. Oh dear. I think I have a miss in my report. I believe your budget is 50,000. There was 5,000 in the budget for something else. And I just took I'm looking at the Director of Corporate Services. Yeah, he's double checking for me. I might have made a misstep. So you have 50,000 remaining in your budget. That may change some of your decision making. Director of Corporate Services actively double checking that I pulled the right number.
Maybe you can actively find us another $5,000 somewhere on these clicking
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, I mean, the approved budget was 50, but I haven't seen what the actual spend yet.
Yeah.
I have to total it up.
Questica had 55 for total, I'm sorry, our budgeting software had 55 for the total budgeted amount, but I didn't look closely whether there was something else in that budget line is where the 55,000 came from. So you have a little less than 10,000, 5,000 less. Again, council has the choice to make a motion to go above and beyond. That has happened in the past. You've also chosen not to go over budget amounts. That's purely up to council's choice. Administration did do a review of the 4 applications. Their scoring is provided to you in the chart in the report. For your reference, council can choose to utilize that scoring as basis for some of your decision-making, or you can choose to make your own choice of how you'd like to fund each of the applications. The 3 options before you this evening is awarding funding to your highest applicants. You can choose to use the evaluation criteria that administration has done and just fund the 2. Another option is fully funding 2 of your highest applicants, but partial funding to the other 2 applicants. And your third option is making a choice of how you'd like to direct your funding allocations on your own, without that evaluation component.
Well. 5,000 makes a lot of difference.
Yes, it
to
does.
these, nonprofits too.
Oh, is it 50? I don't know. Oh,
The $5,000 was for stars.
that's what it was. My apologies.
Stars.
Stars.
No comment.
So that was my mistake of looking at our budgeting software. Within the total budget amount, it adds up whatever's been placed within that particular budget line. And there are 2 allocations, one for 50,000 for your grants to organizations and 5,000 for stars.
5,000. Councillor Ford and then Councillor Shan.
So what's the amount left? Again?
It's still the 44,000, or I'm sorry. I'm doing math very,
5720 is what's left.
thank you.
5,720.
I just made your final council meeting much more difficult. My apologies.
You told us we could have an option. Councillor Shannon, on that?
Within the criteria of deciding where the funds go, do you take into consideration how many times the group has come forward in a year? Like, I'm just curious if that is something you.
Yes, one of the evaluation criteria is I'm going to say either question 8, 9, or 10 in the listing. One of the later questions in the evaluation is, generally, are they a new applicant or are they a returning applicant? So if they are new, they receive automatic higher marks. So for example, Northern Light Speed Skating Club, we have not received, the town has not received an application from that particular group in the past. So they would have received higher marks on that particular question. Your reoccurring groups receive lower marks on that particular question. Because the intent of your policy is you'd like to help groups out, get them going, send them on their way, maybe provide a little bit of support. But the ongoing support is not always intended. However, in saying that, councils have chosen some ongoing support for very large type event activities because of the boating association for the jet boat races, because of the economic development impact that a lot of those very, very large events bring to the community. Yeah.
Just my last question is, I know that one of the requests was in regards to an actual position. And I want to clarify that because I did get phone calls after asking, okay, can anyone apply and get money to have a communication coordinator? So I just want to clarify that in our public time here.
Yeah, the community development, there are two streams, the recreation and then the community development stream. The community development stream has a little more wiggle room within it. It's council's choice how you'd like to fund these projects, but funding positions becomes a little more tenuous and not necessarily if you look at the overall intent and purpose of the policy, it is much more event activity driven, not necessarily operationally driven. So yeah, that's definitely a consideration. I just want to see Mayor Manzer, Councillor Carr has any questions, because I know he had a question previously and I can't see him out of the corner of my eye here.
Councillor Carr?
No, I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, so I know that, talking of the communication coordinator, that the budget, indicates that was an $1,800, thing within their budget. Just for notice. Any other comments at this point? Councillor Ford?
So just one question, so the total request from the report is 12,456.40. We have 5720 left, so if we funded all of it, would be over budget by 6,736.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, I guess I would, Councillor, or Mr. Mugford, please.
Councillor Scanmore did ask if I could find $5,000. And the most obvious pool to draw from would be council approved a $10,000 amount for grants for emergency support for nonprofits,
Yeah.
and that hasn't been utilized so far this year. So that would be one pot to potentially take from if council wanted to. Not that I'm encouraging you to spend money, just that would be an option that you could potentially draw.
So does needing money count as an emergency? I guess is. That would
The, well, look, it's October 6th today. If we remove from that pot and winter hits and somebody has their furnace go out at the food bank and they come to us, oh my gosh, oh, here we already spent your money on, I'll use the word extras. It's probably not the best word, but let's say that. So that would be my fear of using that budget, because it is set for an emergency purpose.
So I'm gonna just speak, we had, a big allotment to the, jet boat races. Did we
Correct.
not? And so that in and of itself, we don't usually have that in the normal course of a year, right?
No, this
Like
past
what?
year was substantive for that particular event because it was the Worlds.
Yeah,
So the support has been to the jet boat races in the past, but it was the Worlds this year, so it was slightly higher request and higher allocation.
so I agree with that, but at the same time, I'm thinking our regular nonprofit asks should in a way not suffer because of one thing either. Councilor Good.
We have X amount of dollars left that we have as a sort of wiggle room right now. When is our year end for this program? When we put 50,000 in or whatever amount that was for a period of time between A and B, what's the B time? What's the end time?
So our year is December 31st. So we,
December 31st, somebody coming to us would not, when they apply for this program, they apply at certain dates, right?
correct,
So I think that the idea of somebody coming to us between October and December, we're not gonna have another intake during that period.
that's right. This is your final intake
This
for
is
the
our
year.
final intake, so if somebody came to us for emergency funds for something else,
Yes,
I just don't think that the decision we're making today should take that into consideration, because it's not part of the program. We have some money set aside as
part of that emergency program.
emergency, which we could
Correct.
use for that particular case. So we have X amount of dollars, roughly $6,000, right? Am I correct? Ballpark?
There's 10 budgeted there and 10 remains because we haven't allocated that for emergency requests, correct?
No, so
No, we have,
we've really only got the.
Oh,
10,000.
remaining budget within the 50,000,
Yeah.
yeah,
we have
slightly under,
5,000, like, ballpark. Yeah, I did.
5.5, yeah.
Okay, good, 6,000, I like that. Round numbers are easier for me to figure, so we're looking at the suggested award is right on that number.
Close.
We're looking at
Oh, pretty close.
59.56, so we're looking at
Yeah.
roughly $6,000.
Yeah.
Two groups don't get anything at all in that.
Correct.
And so what I'm trying to do is get some logic on as to, again, going through the criteria of, I understand certain groups getting some because they've never been here before. But do we normally give like the full amount and then worry about what's left over, or is there a portion? So for example, if we decide to go, and I'm just asking a question, not making a decision, if we looked at maybe 4,000 for the miserable miles and whatever, or 3,000, pick a number, that puts some room available for somebody else to get partial funding. So if we're looking at the art club, for example, we're uncomfortable with funding staff position, we may not be as uncomfortable in my mind with some of the other parts of that ask.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't mind a bit of an exclamation, explanation of how the funding was decided to give it to just the two highest score rather than portioning it out a little bit. And they may have very, very good rationale, but I'd like to understand a bit of that before going forward.
So anytime we do an evaluation in any of our grant programs, we tend to award the highest ranked individuals or applications. The rationale is they met the mark, whatever the criteria is, they met the mark for that criteria. So typically, you would always award to your highest rated applicants in any granting process. Otherwise, why do we have an evaluation ranking system? Essentially, funding the top two covers your budget. So that was part of the rationale too. Option two, though, gives you the option of breaking out so that other applicants receive partial funding. Though the budget now is slightly different than what I was mapping when I did the report, which is my bad. So that could be adjusted, so your top two maybe don't receive full allocation to allow for your subsequent applicants to receive a partial funding allocation.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, it's up to council how you'd like to proceed.
Okay, I'm gonna throw one out here. I kind of still think we should support them all if we can in some fashion. So here goes. Art Club, 1,000. Miserable Miles, 4,000. Skating Club, $956.40. And Town Library, 200. That brings it to 6156.40 in my version. I have a question. Did the town sponsor any, bronze or gold sponsorship for any of these?
I don't recall getting a request, no, sorry.
No, that's good. So that's my thought. It does come a little over budget, $6,156.40 instead of 57. But any thoughts? Councilor Shannon?
Councilor Carr.
Oh. Hey, Mr. Carr?
If we're going to cut, why do we not just stay within the budget and cut accordingly? I like the idea of funding all four of them, but if we're going to cut, we might as well stay within the budget, in my thoughts.
So that means, that's the situation. We would take another $436.40 off someplace, I think. So I'll go Miserable Miles, 35 or 3,700. Art Club, 1,000. And then 956, what does that produce here? 4,900 something.
Balance to the library.
Well, I might have not talked too much. 4,500 for the Miserable Miles, how does that go? 44.
It's too high.
Yeah,
I wish I had calculated.
that's 44. 53, I think we need to up somebody a little bit, don't we? Okay, library 200, skating club 95640. And then something between the other two. So we've got 115640 spent. We have
If only we had the count that.
says,
Three has a calculator.
We
Look
have-
ahead.
We have some numbers.
Which I.
3,000, 4,000. It's gotta be more than 4,000.
If you,
47. Please,
if you did 200 to the library, 956.40 to Miserable Miles, and keeping it easy, leaving $1,000 to the art club, or sorry, yeah, speed skating, not Miserable Miles, 956.40 to speed skating, 1,000 to art club. That leaves you 3,563.60 to go to Miserable Miles,
And how much does that leave the library?
$200.
$200. And that's within budget.
oh, sorry, Councillor Shannon?
I'd like to see the library, since they're at the bottom of the list and they are really not asking for much. $500 is not a huge ask. I would actually like to see that closer to the 500 than the 200.
So where would you take 300 from?
How would if we take 150 from the art club and 150 from Miserable Miles?
I think the art club is already significantly, less than what they asked for, and remember, only 1,800 of it was for, coordinator, the rest was all for.
Okay.
Council Ford,
I'm just gonna throw a wrench into everything here. Going back to the director's comments about the scoring process. My recommendation then would be to, being that we have 5720 left in the budget, would be to fund measure of the top two, which is option one, Miserable Miles to 5,000, and Northern Lights Speed Skating Club would be 720. And that should extend the budget.
I like that one better. If we're taking this.
okay, so, if he was to make a motion to that effect, we could make a motion, we could accept it or defeat it.
Right. I mean, this time.
And those comments are just because of the amount of money we have left. Those comments are basically because of the scoring process. And as the director said, why have a scoring process if we're gonna change it up?
On the other hand, just because you have a scoring process, so everybody at least got, at least scored something, and they're all very needy, so.
I would, oh, man,
Councillor,
I would, I think I would go with, the mayor's original suggestion, just because of which would honor both the scoring and the budget. So I see that the library's asking it's small, but it also scored the least. And actually, it scored the least by a significant amount, as opposed to like the art club was only within like 1 or 2 points total of the next value, whereas the library was scored the lowest by, by everybody. So to honor both the budget and the scoring, the numbers that Kayla had put together there that sort of did justice to your suggestion and got it on speed would be my preference.
Ms. Parsons, what did you have for the art club and Miserable Miles?
So $1,000 to the art club, $3,563.60 to Miserable Miles.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes,
So with those numbers, what's the total number?
5720.
Okay.
okay, would someone like to,
I'll do it.
draw us to a motion here?
I might need some help with the one number, so I would move 1,000 to the art club, 30.
$3,563.60.
That number for municipal miles, the 956.40 for speed skating, and 200 for the library.
That's 57.
That's the number, okay.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, is everybody clear on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, and next up, we're looking at the Arbo Revitalization Initiative, also Director Dell.
Thank you, Worship. Just wanted to provide council with sort of closing the loop on this particular project. The last update or the initial update was brought to council back in May 2005. We've had subsequent meetings with the now known as the Arbo Revitalization Initiative. The committee has been working over the last few months developing their project. We have signed a memorandum of understanding. It is a very specific project that the group is putting together. We have a term to the agreement. Essentially, they're looking at updating and installing all brand new signage for species identification, arboretum style information signage, educational signage, some QR codes potentially that bring school groups and individuals to educational website that provide more detail about the species and all the good tree natural information. They're gonna also do some tree planting, which some of that has already been completed. We've provided the organization authority to install permanent power at the site. We've had a bit of a hiccup. I've been working with ATCO, sort of helping to liaison with the group and spoken directly with Kenry Electric a number of times on a proposal that unfortunately has turned out to be a lot more costly than anyone was hoping. The ATCO component of it is quite expensive. It's just a strange dead zone at the end of that road without any main source of power, which is causing quite a significant cost. So they are looking at potentially a solar option, but I don't have any further updates on where that portion of the project is at. So they will continue to work with the group and see how we can assist if they do look at solar and what that might look like. And then just a reminder that capital cost was being borne by the organization, but the town is including the operational component within our parks budget as part of our normal operating costs. So they're moving along and they've got lots of enthusiasm, and we're happy to be sitting in on meetings with them and being a part of the process as a full partner in that particular initiative. So yeah, just give you a little bit of an update on that.
Thank you. Councilors, any questions?
Let's move forward.
Well, thank you for that, and good luck everyone with the project, and remember the SPCA ATCO charges were pretty high, $60,000, which changed that timeline for that group too. So not saying that this should be anywhere near that.
It's not that much, but
Yeah, it's significant.
it's still enough that it's too much.
Yeah. Okay, maybe someone would move us, Councilor Good.
I move the council accept the Arbo Revitalization Initiative briefing note for information.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody's clear on the motion. All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Next up, we have number 3, the Traffic Safety Act and left of center turns, and CAO Miller is going to read this one.
Thank you, Your Worship, on behalf of Director Chris in his absence. I just speak to this briefing note. Essentially, administration has received a number of concerns regarding persons turning left of center downtown. And so, given the number of times it's kind of come up to us, and now that everything's nicely paved and the painting is on the road, it's very clear. Because of the safety concerns that can result from turning left of center, we are going to be embarking on an education period to make our residents aware that it is actually illegal to do so, turning left of center into an angled parking spot. And after the education component lasts for a little bit, make residents aware that it is a $243 fine, I believe. So again, the goal is not to be issuing tickets, it's largely to educate. And as the winter approaches and the snow and whatnot, just gets a little bit more dangerous, so be aware that they will be out monitoring that situation.
Thank you. Apparently, this Division 4 of the Traffic Act is quite particular with respect to this sort of thing. Which is good, maybe save an accident or two sometimes. Any further discussion on this one, Councillor Ford?
Yeah, I've noticed quite a bit of this myself while driving downtown, but the other thing I've noticed too, so for instance, as an example, you come down Main Street and right in front of the town office, you get a red light, you're in the left turning lane. And instead of turning left to go down the street, you're actually doing a 180 coming back and going the other direction on Main Street. So I'm hoping this will also cover that type of offense.
Maybe that's because their Google told them to make a, what is it, a U-turn or something or other? Councillor
Just
Good?
to note that there are legal U-turns. There are legal U-turns that have to be done carefully, et cetera, so forth, so on, but there are capacity in the laws in Alberta to do U-turns. So not all U-turns are illegal everywhere.
Not down Main Street. He's here probably. Councillor Carr?
Could we possibly post no U-turn signs on the divider on Main Street to kind of help with the education and, I don't know, maybe give people the heads up that it's not acceptable on our Main Street?
Yes, Councillor Carter, she just wrote that down. Looks like we might need some no U-turn signs, and we will be putting a little blurb about it in the utility insert to make persons aware of this, and that we'll be educating on that.
Councillor Good?
Yeah, and I'm not saying your behavior is good, bad, or indifferent, but if you're going to put a no U-turn sign, you have to have a bylaw to back it up. And there are places from the top of town to the bottom of town where a U-turn would be legal unless in other circumstances, so it would need a revision on the bylaw.
And it's not a road.
But that there'd have to be a revision on their law, whatever, but I'm not sure you can post it without that. Anyway, I'd love some clarification on it.
So admin will check it out.
Yeah, I believe that Director Chris is working on a revised traffic bylaw, and this whole subject has been discussed as part of that, so there will be a revision coming forward.
Great. Any further discussion? Would someone maybe make a motion for information? Councillor Ford?
So I put a motion on the floor that council accept the briefing note regarding left of center turns for information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Everybody's clear on the motion? All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Next up, we have the invitation to request a meeting with the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, CAO Miller.
Thank you again, your worship. So as is usual, we've received an invitation or opportunity to request a meeting for council, on behalf of council, at the AM conference in November. This meeting request is with the Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors. And should council like us to do so, on behalf of the new council, we would need three suggested or recommended topics. If council is to move in that direction, administration would like to have bring forward the subject of the LGFF funding, and we will receive 2.5% more next year. You know, it is being allocated based on revenues of the province, and I just want to bring it forward that it is less funding next year, even though things continue to get more expensive.
And so 2026 is 2.5% less or 2.5% more? Less?
Less for 2026 overall, the allocation for over this year, yes.
Okay, well, I would speak in favor of council meeting with the minister. Other topics, I would think, the ongoing bridge, east-west corridor. Funding, anybody else, another thought or two?
Well, we have that slide that we applied for funding for, and I guess my concern is some municipalities that we are in competition for some of that funding for are, let's just say, financially a little more better off than ours, and yet we compete with them for some of these other types of grant dollars that, well, I'll just say as a school teacher, I don't think that's fair.
So you're suggesting slide funding,
Yes.
so whatever that comes under that stick. Okay, Councilor Ford.
You're speaking about the 101st Street specific?
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and then we have other, like, there's the, you know, the stormwater outwash below the bridge, you know, some of these other things that, you know, we have some complications within our municipality that others don't. And further to that, you know, the financial structure is set up for smaller urban to do all that well either, and we still compete with other municipalities for those same dollars.
Totally agree.
Okay, so, there's LGFF funding, it's decreased. It's, well, slides funding, the STIP grants. And then I threw in east-west corridor and the bridge, so they can probably all be amalgamated into three items somehow.
Thank you.
Counselor Good?
Yeah, just, could there be a note, and I'm not trying to fault anybody here, but being asked on October 1st to have an answer in on October 7th. When your council meeting is on the 6th, and you're supposed to give some serious thought to this issue. Bad planning on somebody's part.
And you counsel.
Sometimes,
No, but I mean, if they had, if the notice had been here 3 weeks ago, a month ago, or whatever, so, and I'm not being critical, because this may have been just the only time the minister had available, but it does put a real crunch on a timeline for that.
thank you. Counselor Carr?
Sorry, having trouble with my mute button. I'm just curious, why, this is for funding, is it not? These discussions, is this not for funding projects?
It's basically for anything you think that minister might have influence on. It can be funding, it can be anything that's under transportation, economic corridors.
Okay, my question would be then, why, and this is meant respectfully, why would we include the bridge having just received a report from transportation 2 weeks ago on what the status and the timeline is? Would we not have another project maybe? I agree with the east-west corridor. I agree with the other one. I'm just curious why the bridge?
Just because it comes up often. But it doesn't have to be. It can be amalgamated in with any and all of the other ones too. So the three topics I'm hearing are, the slides, STIP funding, east-west connector and LGFF, and whether or not the bridge filters in there is debatable. Counselor Shannon?
Having been to many of those meetings, I think, if we caution on just, taking a few things instead of many, I think will be much more effective if we could keep it to 3.
So east-west corridor, LGFF funding, slides STIP, is that what the 3 are? And just so the audience knows, these meetings are usually, what, half hour?
15 minutes.
15 minutes, so talk fast and etc. Okay, so would someone maybe make a motion to the effect of what we're going forward with to this industry?
Move that council provide their support for administration to request a meeting with Minister of Transportation, Economic Corridors, including the following 3 topics: East-West Corridor, LGFF funding, and STIP funding.
The funding for hillslide / STIP grant funding
Yes.
competition, is that?
That's great.
I think it's because that's where the slides got turned down in previous requests, right? The funding for them. Yeah. Okay, so everybody's clear on the motion, the 3 topics? All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. And now you're going to talk to us about the Peace Library System Master Agreement.
Thank you. So the Peace Library System Master Agreement is being brought forward to council once again. This time we're seeking authorization for execution of the agreement. Council first saw this revised master services agreement during the June 2nd GMP. Administration at that time had brought forward a few concerns for council's consideration. One of them was regarding the automatic up to 5% increase in the levies. At that time, Councillor Good had made a motion asking the library system to give reconsideration to their Schedule B and how they would be applying the increases to the levies each year. In response from the library chair, we were advised that on average, the CPI has been at 5% or exceeded 5% in each of the last 5 years. Administration did want to bring forward that is not actually accurate. The COVID year and the year post-COVID, they were high, but otherwise it trends 3% or below. So we did just want to bring forward that to your attention. Also, another member had brought forward some concerns as well to the board, and there was a change in the indemnification article of the agreement, which is highlighted on the backside of the request for decision. And other than that, the options are for council to give authorization to execute the agreement, or council declines to execute the agreement and gives administration some additional direction.
So the Peace Library System is the overall overarching system that handles about 40 plus libraries within northwestern Alberta. It does things like help them with cataloging, help them with ordering to decrease library costs. It helps them with their IT. So the other thing, from sitting on the board, I'm aware that the libraries are funded at their 2019 population rates, which for some is, I guess, good, for some not so good, including ones like the city of Grand Prairie, where their population has gone up by quite a bit since that time. So I would speak in favor of signing the agreement, but any other comments? Someone want to put forth a motion to discuss? Councillor Shan? Oops. I'm gonna find it again.
I move that council authorize the signing of the revised master services agreement with Peace Library Systems.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, well, note that Mr. Good has left the room. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, it is carried. Thank you, Mrs. Miller. And now, Mrs. Miller, onwards to the 2021 to 2025 council motion action tracking.
Thank you. So your worship, we just wanted to kind of wrap up this council term's motion action tracking that was done for your term. So as you can see, this time, although we've been giving you this information on a quarterly report on the things that are outstanding, this listing is all of the motions that council made during your term. So there was 612 motions that were actioned by administration. These motions, of course, didn't include the simple except for agendas for adoption and whatnot. So out of the 612 motions, 580 of them administration has completed, 23 are still active. 3 of them are recent and have yet to be assigned to staff member. 6 of them were deferred or rescinded, and 3 of them are on the next item for discussion. There are outstanding motions that we'd be looking for council to repeal. So we'll note here some motions are missing numbers. There's a little bit of a glitch in the system. But I hope that you find your review of this, that there was a lot of great work done during this term. And I hope you enjoyed reviewing it to see some of the things and actions that you all did and think. And we're just looking for accepting for information to wrap up this vote.
Thank you. Does anyone have any thoughts they want to bring forward at this point on this? I find the printing could be larger.
Sorry. See it on screen. That's a lot of work.
Yes, yes. Okay, does anyone want to discuss any of them, the motions? Councillor Carr?
No, but it was an enjoyable read, as much information as there was there.
Okay, anyone else? Would someone then perhaps move forward with the motion on this matter?
I'll move that council accept the council motion action tracking listing for information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Thank you, admin, for getting us through so much of that. Next up, we have the request for old and unactioned motions to be rescinded. Mrs. Miller?
Thank you. So as mentioned just a moment ago, we do have 3 motions when we reviewed the action tracker ourselves. We considered the 3 motions that were on the list. One of them is from 2021, one from 2022, and one from 2023 that we failed to action at the time. So the first one was referring a presentation to administration to bring the matter back to a future meeting with options. And that was regarding a resident that made a presentation on the possibility of permitting commercial vehicles to park in residential areas during weekday business hours. So that was one from December of 2021. Another one was regarding a briefing regarding the request for a feasibility study and a third-party review of the annual municipal budget. That was from 2022. Administration felt that we've made such great strides in our budgeting over this council term, and we've shown some exceptional savings that we found this motion not to be relevant any longer. In particular, since that motion was made, there's been 3 chartered accountants hired by the organization to provide financial oversight. And the final motion we're seeking to have repealed was one back from April of 2023. And it was directing administration to draft a letter to the Minister of Health regarding acute care bed closures, lack of ambulances in our region, and overflow of acute care beds. So we seem to have lost sight of that motion. I can say we are not getting regular and routine updates from the hospital anymore as of late, touch wood. That particular situation at that time seems to have settled. So we are hoping that council will give consideration to repealing these 3 motions so we can start off with a nice clean slate. With the next council, having only the 20 some odd that we're working on at the moment.
Thank you. Discussion? If not, maybe someone would move us along with the motion. Okay, Mayor Wojcik, you want to give us the?
Sure. I'll move that council rescind the following 3 motions. December 6th, 2021, the January 24th, 2022 one, and the April 11th, 2023 as listed in the agenda.
Thank you. Discussion, Councillor Good, did you have a point? No? Okay, any further discussion? Okay, then all those in favor? Great, it is carried. Next up, we have the Encampments and Protective Services Department update with Mrs. Miller.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I'm gonna kind of walk through this one a little bit methodically. I think it's important, obviously, for council and for the members of the public who are listening to this update. So Councillor Carr had requested administration to bring the topic of encampments and our CPO department to the council agenda, including the question regarding a misunderstanding between administration and council of the Director of Protective Services allocation of time towards encampment enforcement, boots on the ground versus working on other competing priorities and responsibilities of the position. So just taking us all back a bit, back in August of 2023, administration brought forward a proposal to reinstate the position of Director of Protective Services to the town's organizational structure for multiple reasons, being the oversee and the reformation and the operations of a town CPO and a bylaw department. 2, to manage and oversee the town's emergency management. And 3, to assume management of the fire department, a reporting structure which is better aligned because currently the fire department was reporting under corporate services. This proposal was brought forward to meet growing needs of the community, particularly regarding the increase in public safety concerns around social disorder and homelessness in the town. The plan was first to establish a functioning CPO program, considering that was the most pressing need, and then roll out the other organizational shifts following sufficient progress on the very first goal. Administration also committed that the Director of Protective Services would be boots on the ground and able to act as a CPO if need be. Since first proposed and approved, there seems to be some confusion over the amount of time the director in this position should be committed to CPO activities, with one member of council suggesting administration committed to a 30-70 or 70-30 structure, 70% on the boots on the ground with 30% other. In reality, this ratio is simply not feasible for a director position. To gain an understanding of where this confusion could have arisen, administration attempted to view the August 28, 2023 council meeting recording where this matter was fully discussed. However, unfortunately, this meeting occurred when administration was first starting to record council meetings and due to a technical difficulty, this portion of the meeting was not recorded. The technical issues that were experienced during that meeting are noted in the official minutes of the meeting. Admittedly, administration may have suggested at the start that the director could be 70% on the ground, recognizing that this would be the case and would be required, even more so when the program is first getting started. We also committed that we would slowly be shifting the responsibilities of that position to ensure that the director could focus on all responsibilities. But it was always stated that that director would be required to maintain their CPO appointment so that they would be able to act in that manner should it be required for backfilling or just simply when they're driving down the street and they were to observe something happening. However, maintaining a 70-30 split in duties was never meant to be permanent, and nor is it practical to do so. A 30% allocation, which would equate to 11.25 hours a week, is not adequate time allocation for a director to accomplish the other duties with respect to employee management, including health and safety responsibilities, the provincial reporting, the fire services, the emergency management responsibilities, partner and contract management, budget oversight, and internal or council reports, just to name what comes off the top of our head. This split is barely feasible for just a CPO, as there is a lot of paperwork, reporting, court appearances that a CPO must undertake as part of their normal duties, and which takes away from their time spent actively in the community. Administration has been diligently working to build the town's CPO and bylaw department, recognizing this department has not been fully functional for years and needs to be rebuilt, given the climate in the community and the rest of Alberta around social disorder and homeless activity. And while we encountered some setbacks when we first recruited the Director of Protective Services, we did successfully begin onboarding Director Kress in January of this year. Director Kress has hit the ground running, acquiring the equipment necessary to fully function a CPO program, has updated municipal information with the province, has reinstated all numerous required access agreements, has been establishing relationships with RCMP, visiting local businesses, community, and has filled the vacant CPO position, starting to onboard Officer White in April of 2025. Recognizing council's priority in dealing with social disorders, encampments, unsightly properties, etc., administration brought forward a request in May of 2025 to add another CPO to the town's organization to better meet the demands of council and the community. Having a second full-time CPO will allow for 7-day coverage and service within the community. Upon the direction of council, recruitment was initiated, the program training is underway, and when Solicitor General appointment subsequently has to occur. In the meantime, to bridge the gap and to help meet the needs of our community, Director Kress has engaged and onboarded a casual CPO working in a community nearby and has obtained their appointment for Peace River. So in all, the town's CPO program has not had the opportunity to get fully off the ground. It's been 9 months or 186 working days since we first welcomed Director Kress and 5 months since welcoming CPO White. Effectively onboarding employees into an organization is an investment, and successfully standing up a department and initiating programs such as this requires time. Understanding all that is involved to establishing a CPO program that has the authority and the risks that it does, it is administration's opinion that great strides have been made in the few months that we have had the program up and running with minimal staff. So what happened in the interim in 2024 while recruiting for a director, it was apparent that more resources were needed to deal with public disorder and encampments that the town was issuing. along with the volume of bylaw complaints that were being received. So in June of 2024, council had opted to commence a 3-month pilot project with a private security firm to provide 24-hour private security services. This pilot ran from July 15th to October 15th of 2024 for a cost of $240,000. An amount that would cover roughly 2.5 full-time CPO salaries for a full year. Following completion of the pilot project, administration provided a report at the November 2024 council meeting, giving an overview of the 3 months, highlighting the What We Heard report resulting from the public survey and asking the matter be brought forward to the December 9th council meeting. On December 9th, the report included 3 basic options for council to consider. One being continue with private security, instituting the pilot program more permanently or some variation of. 2, enhance the town CPO program, adding additional officers. Or 3, leave the situation status quo with 1 CPO officer and a working director and 1 temp bylaw officer, noting that the temp bylaw was currently active until we have them as a CPO officer. Or any variation of that. Council chose to move forward with the CPO program. And in January, we welcomed Director Kress. April again, we welcomed Officer White. And then in May, we were given authorization for a 2nd CPO. So a large part of council's decision, just as a refresher, was most likely based on the What We Heard report, which was compiled resulting from the public survey that administration initiated after the 3-month pilot project with Apex. The public consultation was by an online survey. We had 500 plus responses, which is a high representation of our community. And the responses overall, the residents said they did not want to have a significant tax increase to hire a private security provider. As another, sorry, just on here, encampments. So last year, at that time, we were just trying to address some bylaw complaints through our fire chief and director of corporate services. They were the only ones at the time who had authority to enforce any bylaws. So then, as a bridging moment, that's when we first brought on our temporary bylaw officer to pick up those complaints and be able to deal with some of the concerns of the community. Now, encampment issues are new to smaller municipal governments, and at least to the degree that we've been experiencing the last 3 or 4 years. These size of encampments and issues are typically found in larger centers. But since 2021, smaller municipalities, including Peace River, have been experiencing these challenges. And we have the added challenges of PRCC, their clientele, no transportation out of the community, and few services. So within the report, we have highlighted City of Cold Lake, City of Lethbridge, City of Itasca, Town of Drumheller, City of Edmonton, Town of Drayton Valley, Town of Hinton, Town of Panoka, Fort McMurray. Those are just a few that have been in the news, just again to remind everybody that this situation is everywhere. Early administration, we're doing our best to juggle the demands of the CPO department. While encampments are part of this, they're certainly not the only issue that our CPO are addressing. Resources are also committed to RCMP requests for assistance, traffic violations, bylaw complaints, both reactive and proactive, unsightly property, vicious dogs. We've had 4 dog attacks in the last few months, and every one of them requires investigation. Court attendance, routine patrols, trespassing, assisting fire department with scene security, loitering, enforcement of our land use bylaw. So the latest update from the Director of Protective Services reported they've opened 937 files from January to August 31st. We understand the public and council's frustration over the encampments, but it is not an issue that can be solved overnight or through policing alone. As stated, it's gonna take a commitment from all levels of government. Sorry, I don't normally walk through everything, but I think it's important to walk through this. Our CPOs have been working diligently and methodically, and through all of their efforts since reestablishing the program, we have seen a stark improvement in the community. Not only are our CPOs working to keep downtown parks and community areas free from vagrants and unwanted social behaviors, they work with the RCMP to remove dangerous and wanted persons in our community, enforce traffic, and also other expressed concerns. So progress has been made in the encampment activity, at least moving it out of sight and from our parks and community spaces and tearing down encampments that do get set up, including along the riverbank and more out of sight areas. To date, our CPOs have dismantled 96 encampments erected at locations, including the gazebo and Anglican Church, Riverfront, Bridges Parks, Old Hospital, behind PVI, etc. Many of them have been torn down multiple times. The struggle with encampments is we tear them down doesn't solve the problem. In reality, we tear one down, two more pop up. CPOs have certainly torn down the same encampments more than once, and when an encampment cleanup happens, although some items are retained per our camping bylaw, not just thrown away, this dismantling of encampments often just results in further occurrences of undesirable activity, dumpster diving, or petty crime, as the unhoused seek to replace the very basic minimal provisions that are disposed of during cleanup. So while we're doing our best to make illegal camping and squatting uncomfortable in Peace River, we're not gonna fully eradicate encampments, and we certainly won't solve the problem without the support of other levels of government. This would truly be an unrealistic expectation given the level of resource available to small municipal governments. We also recognize we have a very committed community with volunteer associations that are more than ready and willing to help us. This assistance is truly appreciated, particularly given our capacity, having a wealth of other responsibilities. However, these events need to be appropriately coordinated with the town and enough time to align work schedules, not only with our CPOs, but with our CMP as well. Depending on the size and the activity of the encampment, sweeps need to be done to ensure it's safe, or notice given to those living in the encampment to allow them time to pack their personal items and vacate. And OH&S requirements such as hazard assessments must be conducted prior to the work being undertaken. As you can see in the report, the city of Cold Lake recently did a Facebook post dealing with some of their encampment cleanups and highlighting a serious concern, whereby the encampments are starting to be rigged, which our CPOs have been made aware of by the RCMP, which causes us additional concerns when people are taking it upon themselves to go and tear down an encampment. So we have given notice to the couple of volunteer groups and we welcome their support. But again, encourage that it's always a coordinated effort with our CPO team, because doing so ensures as much safety as possible. We can never make sure 100%, but we do the best we can. And then they're also covered under the town's insurance and volunteer liability should anything happen. Again, also, when it is being conducted through the CPO, we can make sure that our camping bylaw and people's personal property is gathered and stored for as long as we can under that bylaw, so you can't get things back to persons. Let me see where I am. So recently, 3 members of council, Deputy Boychuk, Deputy Mayor Boychuk, Councillor Carr and Councillor Good, had looked at the report that was put together, the information that was put together during the recent community meeting regarding encampments and whatnot. And as they reviewed that report and the items that were captured by the mental health task force, it was felt that the report clearly notes that the town's role with respect to some of these social issues that we're experiencing was support, advocacy, and lobbying. Council as a whole agreed with this report and were supportive of it when presented during the August council meeting, further supporting and demonstrating that we're not going to fix these issues on our own. And it appeared that council acknowledged that and agreed with this, recognizing advocacy is a big component. And then the final piece to this puzzle is the continuous challenge, is the lack of support from the government of Alberta being provided to Peace River, especially knowing the additional burdens our community bears as a result of the PRCC, a geographical location, lack of regional transportation, and minimal wraparound service providers. So the GOA insisting that the town undertake a policing model study before further considerations for assistance would be given. Administration issued the request for proposal for such a policing study, and it was recently awarded to BLU Alliance, a highly qualified consulting firm who specializes in policing. The project was kicked off in the summer. They have done so far online surveys, public open house, targeted interviews, detailed analysis of the report, information that they've gathered. And we anticipate that report will be prepared and presented sometime in November to the new council. So every single day, administration, we deal with encampments and issues resulting from them. Status reports provided to council and director of protective services each month. And so I did want to say, under normal circumstances, this ask would have come through notice of motion, because it was significant time to prepare this report while we are working to try to get orientation and election materials and whatnot prepared. But we did feel that given the subject, we didn't have time to have Councillor Carr bring forward a notice of motion, and we wanted to get it on there for clarity and for the community to understand the work that is being done. So we are looking forward to receiving the policing model study report, seeing the recommendations that come out of it, and bringing forward those recommendations for discussion during deliberations of budget with the council. Thank you.
Thank you. That was quite in depth. And I can see that it would take time, for sure. But does anyone have questions of the report right now? Discussion, Councillor Shannon?
I want a little bit of clarification on when you're collecting the stuff left behind at these encampments. Is that what you mean, that we're actually holding that for people and then telling them they can come and get there? So how does that work? Number one. And my second question is, these CPOs that we're hiring for the program, they're coming with experience, right? So like when they're onboarding, they have the experience there. They're not like totally, it's not their first job at the date, right? I just want to clarify that.
Correct, but they have to onboard like with our organization and our municipality and whatnot. Yes, there would be a requirement on your first question. If there are personal items, those personal items such as backpacks, medication, ID, we do capture that, and we have a storage at the Public Works that they store. And you know, most of those unhoused or unsheltered know our CPOs, so if there's an encampment cleanup, often they'll ask them, hey, did you see, did you find this? Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Carr?
That was certainly a fulsome report. All I was really inquiring about when I put in this request was where are we falling short on cleaning up these encampments and moving them along? My concern is with the criminal activity, the criminal aspect to these encampments, and not all of them have that. But there's always the garbage, which is a health issue. Last cleanup, we cleaned up a bunch of strip cable casings. Another encampment, there were bicycle parts where they're dismantling bicycles. It's the criminal aspect that I'm concerned with, and the length of time that it's taking us to move on them. The graffiti that's on the old bridge on the east side of the old bridge is ridiculous, and it didn't happen overnight. That happened over a very long period of time, of which there had been reports of that encampment, and nothing was done. So my concern is the report we received from Director Kress. I understand he's busy, but the safety of the community was a priority of council, and we have a no camping bylaw. So unless we need to give explicit direction that this needs to be the number one priority, I don't know how we can move this along, because it's not working.
Thank you. Any further comments, Councillor Ford?
Yes, I just wanted to make note when it came to the numbers, like we did I know we did the Apex project, and the number was 240,000 for the 3-month pilot project, which put boots on the ground 24/7, 7 days a week, with two people on the ground. So when you compare the $240,000 number to would have roughly covered 2.5 full-time CPO salaries for a year, where even though we have 3 staff right now, we have the Director of Protective Services and 2 CPOs, we're still not getting the coverage. So the report is very, very in-depth. I think new council that's coming in is gonna have some big decisions to make when it comes to public safety and deciding which way they want to go, whether it's a full-fledged CPO program, because with the numbers here, if you were to put 5 or 6 more CPOs under the director, well, that's gonna come close to that $1 million a year. And are we gonna get the coverage? Number 2, there is also a way that we could possibly do a blended type protection program for the community. But I'll just leave it at that for now.
Any other comments? Councillor Good?
I think that's one of the reasons that we were doing the survey, the province, that we have the people doing the survey now, is to get answers to those questions. So we're not making the answers up out of our own feelings, our own anecdotes, our own visual things that we see. I mean, to some extent, what you see is happening. It definitely is. That's not even a question. But I heard a line the other day I really liked that says the plural of anecdotes is not evidence. It's not data. Data is data. We're going to be getting the data that's going to show us where the situations are, where the crimes are being committed, all that kind of stuff. We will have the numbers. We'll have a good idea of what to do. We're not alone with other communities in addressing these same issues. We're to some extent reinventing the wheel, and we're doing a lot of things that the other communities have done, equally unsuccessfully to some extent. Because if they had solved it, we wouldn't be getting the news reports out of Cold Lake, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, sundry. All these different towns are having the same issues. There does need to be, in my mind, absolutely more support from the province. I mean, the RCMP, theoretically, when I grew up, the RCMP were the people who were supposed to keep you safe from crime. It wasn't up to the local bylaw officer to keep people safe from crime. That was up to the RCMP and the cops. It was simple. Cops were the good guys, criminals were the bad guys, the cops took care of them. That's not what we have right now. We have the RCMP, undermanned, whatever you can put it, but are they solving the problem of homelessness and crime? When we had some people, RCMP come here, one of the questions I asked was, you had 70 cases and you had 3 arrests out of it. Does that make sense? Is that a success? As I said, if I cooked 70 meals and you only had 3 that people liked, I wouldn't be a chef. So yeah, I think we have to really take a look at it and put the responsibility, to a large extent, it's on the community, but to a large extent, it's on the organizations that claim to be the people that are supposed to be handling the issue. The courts, the police, and our bylaw people our municipal people should be looking at our municipal issues more or less more, and the others should be taking a much larger role. In the terms of mental health, it comes under health. Oh, provincial again. When it comes into poverty, I don't know, seems to come under the province or the feds. But it's being downloaded in the municipalities and the effects are being felt at the street level. And no, it's not good enough. But hopefully, when we get the results from this report, and I think, I can't remember how many 100 years of experience these people are bringing to the table, they're going to be giving us data and information that's going to really help us out in making decisions going forward. That's the reason we made the decision to do that, and that's where I'd like to see it proceed.
Thank you. Anyone else who hasn't spoken, who wishes to?
Make another comment.
I think my thoughts have been shared by others.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ford?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that, most people out there know that, yes, I am part of that group that's doing these cleanups. And when it comes to an active encampment, if we're down there cleaning up and it comes to an active encampment, we don't touch it. That's dealt with by the CPOs and the RCMP that are with us. It's happened to us once already where we came across an encampment when we were cleaning up and, we stayed away from it. The RCMP dealt with it. What we're going after is the garbage that's left behind after they've taken their personals out. Plain simple, and there's a lot of garbage down there. So when we talk about suitcases and bags full of clothes and all that kind of stuff, buckets full of stuff that we don't wanna talk about, that kind of stuff is the stuff we're going to clean up. Stuff that's left behind after the CPOs and the RCMP have gone in and asked them to remove their personals. This is the kind of stuff we're cleaning up. And to date, we now have over 250 cubic yards cleaned up. So it's quite substantial.
So I guess, from the town and council, we want people to be safe when they are going through these encampments. So it is important that we use our CPOs and RCMP to the extent that we're able to, so that usually means notice so that they can prepare and get out and help the cause at the same time. This policing stuff will be very interesting. And as Mr. Good mentioned, there was a lot of experience for the 4 gentlemen that were came and talked to council, came and talked to various groups and people in the community, as well as held an open house. So gonna be very informative and budget wise, well, we have to watch our budget.
Yeah, and just to reiterate on that comment that yes, our group does coordinate through the CPOs. They attend with us and the RCMP attends with us when they can, and everything is coordinated through the town. CAO Miller mentioned a hazard assessment. That all of that stuff is being done by the CPOs before we go in and do our cleanup. And if anybody out there in listening world would like to participate, we have another one going on this coming Saturday, 10 a.m.
Yeah, I think that's good, Mr. Ford. Okay, so thank you very much, Mrs. Miller, for this detailed report. It certainly outlines the issues that the town is dealing with, and there is some hope in some aspects of it, I would say. And we've come a long way in how to deal, or learning how to deal with encampments safely. And we've come a long way in involving coordinated efforts amongst various groups and people. Deputy Mayor Boychuk?
I also wanted to note that the mental health task force team has been advocating with the RCMP to get a pop-up navigation center here. That will go a long way to dealing with encampments. We've got RDN coming here to help support our shelter a little bit more and to deal with that. And we've got the Rural Development Network. And we've also got, a homeless estimation that we're gonna be doing right away, so we'll be able to find out how many people we have living homeless, where they're living and what we can do to solve that. So we got some good information coming, some good work moving. I'm hopeful things will look better next year at this time.
Yes, I think we all do. Anything further? Okay, maybe someone would, move us along with, Counselor Good?
I move the council accept the briefing note regarding encampments and protective services department update for information.
Thank you. Any further discussion, comments? Okay, well, thank you for the information. All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Next up is the additional item number 9, which is the Director Bell Riverbank Maintenance Request Update.
Thank you, Your Worship. This report is to provide council with a bit of an update of where this particular item is at. It is delayed, unfortunately, with the evacuation center for over 4 weeks. That really put a crimp in my work plans for the summer and has backed up a lot of the activities out of my particular area, and still trying to catch up a bit. Just as a reminder, this was a motion from a governance and priorities meeting in 2024, which then council also debated and added to the budget in 2025 and approved 25,000 for an assessment plan. I'm in the process of putting together the scope of work for an RFP and hoping to post it soon in the next couple of weeks. So we're looking at getting an RFP out and seeing what we get back for consultants. In the interim, as that RFP is posted, I'll also be developing a bit of a public engagement process, as this would require, as per best practice, some public engagement once we receive back whatever report is developed, to also include members of the public's feedback, input of what they would like to see based on that report. So we are a little bit behind, unfortunately, but we will make sure this gets rolling. And once we get the RFP out and receive submissions, we'll assess where we at with budget timeline, whether I have to rebudget for 2026 or carry those funds forward, as that project hopefully will be started before the end of the year.
Thank you. Discussion, comments, questions? Okay, so our key is going out and hopefully that will be decided before the year. That will be sent out before the end of the year, and a decision coming back for next council.
Deliberation, yeah, when it would come back to council really is dependent on what kind of timeline that people takes to do the work. I'm not labeling or placing a timeline on the RFP, because we find that really limits the response of consultants when we do that. And we either overpay, because you're paying for a shorter time frame, or you don't necessarily get the product you're looking for. So more than not, we're looking into the new year, but again, public engagement will be a part of that, and council will be heavily involved in the conversation of whatever that end result looks like.
Thank you. Any questions of Director Bell? Councillor Ford?
No questions, but I'd like to say thank you for getting this RFP out, or at least it's not sitting on the back burner. It's going out shortly, but I would definitely put a motion on the floor to accept the briefing note on Riverbank Maintenance Request Update for information.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Bell. Next up, we're into reports. We have the 2025 monthly development report. Mr. Fisher.
No, just ask if anybody's got any questions.
Oh, it looks like things are moving along in quite a few, areas that, require, development reports, I guess. But anybody, it's interesting to see number 7, solar electric panels, multiple addresses, 40 development and building permit applications between August and September of 2025. That's quite a few.
Yeah, it's actually been quite a busy month, and each one of those also requires a significant amount of work from APCO to process, because they get set up as a mini, generation permit, basically. And in talking with APCO, it sounds like we are one of the only communities in the area that's really pursuing this as like a community.
Interesting. Any, other comments, anybody? Well, thank you for the update, and it looks like, we've had several developments, this year, maybe more so than in years past, so great to see, and thank you. Then we have the September 2025 Protective Services Monthly Call Report. Mrs. Miller might be,
I'm sorry, your worship, I can't really speak to it.
yeah. Okay, well, we can, read it, it's in the agenda. I note that, traffic, complaints, there was 29 of them. There was 55 total complaints received. Total tickets were 32, and files to date, as has been mentioned, 994, and open active files 42, which seems a lot. Any other comments, questions on this report? Okay, next up, Mr. Carr or Mr. Boychuk, Peace Region Mental Health Task Force meeting minutes of August 28th. Anything you wanted to highlight there?
The main thing that I'd like to highlight is that we took the task force back to each council to determine if they wanted to continue that forum. So it was unanimous that each one of the participants wanted to continue for the next 4 years in the next term with the task force. So we fine-tuned our terms of reference to continue that on, and then we just kind of mentioned a few updates here that what we've got going on from certain members. So if anybody has questions, they can update on that.
So do the terms of reference come back to council to have a look at as well?
You guys should be getting a copy of them here real quick. We just finished updating them here last week.
Okay. Any other questions of this report? Okay, next up is the small print, the Community Rail Advocacy Alliance, September 2025. Basically, I sit on this one, and it's ongoing rail issues, cars getting where they need to be, and basically basic maintenance items. Questions about that one? Next up, we have the September 17th Peace Regional RCMP Community Advisory Committee draft meeting minutes. Councilor Ford.
A lot of it we've already talked about in our previous discussions, but I have to apologize. I was a little bit tardy on getting the data from the speed reader board to council. We wanted to make sure that the RCMP and our CPOs were able to see that report before it went public. We will be doing downloads from that speed reader board every Thursday and providing that to our CPOs, administration CPOs and RCMP until it gets too cold to have that board operate for the winter.
So did you notice anything of, I don't know, outstanding interest, I guess, on?
Nothing really on the report. Like, I think,
It's,
I'm just going by memory, but I think the highest speed on there was 61 kilometers an hour, but the time of day that was, not sure exactly what the time of day was, but it would be more of a warning than it would be a ticket. Because that area that we're talking about, where it's in Shaftesbury Estates by the playground. So that is, the posted speed limit is from 8:30 in the morning till an hour after sunset. is 30K, and anytime other than that is 50K, so.
Okay, thank you. Is that the last one? Okay, would someone perhaps move these for information?
I'll move council accept reports 9-1 to 5 for information.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Next up, we have information, the council communication package, September 26th. I'll bring up one because it's a committee that I'm on. Number 5, the Peace Regional Healthcare Attraction Detention Committee is requesting $2,000 as an allocation request from each of the 5 municipalities to do the committee work in attracting and retaining medical staff. So this is part of the new bylaw that we get this in by supposedly September, but here we be. So I'm just mentioning that. The town of Blair's, that one is an interesting letter. It has to do with the unpaid oil and gas taxes, basically to some of the rural municipalities, in particular the MD of Smoky, which is owed $6 or $7 million worth. So MD of Smoky has sent letters to various committees and groups saying that they may be unable to give allocations to things like libraries, FCSS, and so on and so on. So it affects that whole region greatly. They're not the only ones in the province, but the MD of Smoky, it's very significant for their budget. So did anybody else want to bring up anything on the communications one? Okay, maybe someone would move that for information. Councillor Carr, would you move that for information, item 10.1?
Yes, I can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Great, it is carried. Notices the motion. This is kind of material. Comments from the public? Maybe not. Okay, so now we're going to go into closed session. So do we need 5 minutes? Okay, let's take 5
Maybe
minutes.
just note for the public that we won't be back following close the live stream link.
Okay, we will not be back online after we're in closed.